in just one of his like 31 deranged rants that he dropped back to back to back to back on Truth Central, Donald Trump called the United States a banana republic for doing to him what he said and tried to do to other people when he was president and now that he's campaigning. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. Maybe check out my Patreon. I'd appreciate the support. So, Hypocrisy and Donald Trump are like bedfellows, right? It's like the only thing that Donald Trump openly embraces with any degree of consistency. Certainly not his children. And in his many, 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 many rants that he posted just last night on Truth Social, another one kind of stood out, and this one's relatively short, but the irony and the hypocrisy are just astounding. So again, brace yourselves, grip the arms of your chair tightly for this one. You're going to be buffeted by strong winds of hypocrisy and irony.
America is becoming a banana republic. That's what happens when you indict and prosecute your political opponent. These are dark days in the life of America, but we're going to turn it around and make our country great again.
Short and to the point, but wow, so much irony and hypocrisy loaded in that in those 15 seconds. A banana republic, and an absolutely banana republic, for indicting him. You know, he's saying, listen, I'm running for the office of the presidency. I'm a political opposition of the Department of Justice's boss, Joe Biden. I should not be indicted. That's political persecution. That's something that banana republics do. That's an interesting take, because I'm going to remind you of a clip. This is the same man, Donald Trump, in 2020, 3 years ago, when he was in President Biden's position, the sitting president of the United States. This is how he felt at that time, during an election year, about prosecuting your political opponents.
Unless Bill Barr indicts these people for crimes, the greatest political crime in the history of our country, then we're going to get little satisfaction unless I win, and we'll just have to go, because I won't forget it. But these people should be indicted. This was the greatest political crime in the history of our country, and that includes Obama, and it includes Biden.
So again, that was in 2020 when Donald Trump was the sitting president, calling on his sitting Attorney General Bill Barr, openly calling, not even in private, he's calling, not just in private, but publicly, hey, Attorney General Bill Barr, indict these people. His political opponents, Joe Biden, who was running against him during the presidency. But as you know, or during the election, but as you know, him calling on his political oppositions being jailed, that goes beyond 2020. That's an old hat of Donald Trump's. You may recall this iconic moment.
You know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
So, and that, of course, spawned the lock her up refrain that Republicans and Republican supporters and Trump fans and Trump himself would repeatedly encourage between 2016 and 2020. People are still saying it to this day that Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, whoever else that Donald Trump happens to not like, should be locked up. So, again, note the irony, note the hypocrisy. Donald Trump wanted to prosecute his political opponents. We have reports that he tried to get James Comey, who was then the director of the FBI, to do it. He publicly called, as we saw in that clip, on Bill Barr to do it. There were attempts by Trump to pressure the Department of Justice into finding something that he can use against his political opposition. And he's already said, as we've discussed in other videos, that he intends to do it if he wins the presidency. He has repeatedly said that. We've discussed it in previous videos. So what Donald Trump is saying is that it's a banana republic to hold him and people he likes accountable. It's a banana republic to indict Donald Trump and people he likes. That's banana republic stuff. But people he doesn't like, his opponents, it's okay to indict them. The matter of criminality is irrelevant, right? It's just what your proximate position is and what relative favor that you may or may not have from Donald Trump. That's actually, the irony is, of course, that's banana republic stuff when, this particular leader is above prosecution, even if he or she commits certain illegal acts. This one, we need to go out of our way to find potential grounds on which to indict or to prosecute. Of course, as I've told you again and again, as a reminder, we have no evidence that President Biden pressured anybody to indict or to prosecute Trump. There's been no evidence of private urges or pressure from Biden to Merrick Garland or Jack Smith to do so. There's certainly no evidence of public urges for them to do so. And the indictments against Donald Trump are predicated on grand juries, right? Again, which are American citizens reviewing evidence brought forth by a prosecutor, be it Jack Smith or Fani Willis or Alvin Bragg or whoever. So Donald Trump has this just completely wrong. And I'll also remind you that holding criminal leaders and criminal former leaders to account is actually the exact opposite of a banana republic. A banana republic says that a certain group of people, either for their political affiliation or their former status, that they are above the law. This would actually go a long way towards establishing to the United States, like to our own citizens and to the rest of the world, that we are not a banana republic. We are willing, if necessary, to hold leaders accountable. And Donald Trump doesn't like it. But anyway, I thought you'd appreciate that deranged rant. He dropped like 30, 31 on Truth Essential. I encourage you to go check them out for yourselves. I imagine we'll be covering a few more of them as the days pass, because he dropped basically 31. That's one deranged Trump rant a day. That's like Factor Food, right? Or like some sort of meal delivery service, except he just dropped an entire month's supply in one day. So I'm sure we'll be discussing more in the near future.